In conversation now with Sridhar Patra, the CMD at NALCO. Lots to discuss. The turnaround in Q3 and the higher prices boosting those numbers as well. Mr. Patra, thanks for joining us. Talking about the Q3 numbers and the kind of profit you've managed to churn again. Share with us the average NSR in Q3 versus the last few quarters, what that's looking like, as well as the key contributor to your positive EBITDA and bottom line this time.
Fundamentally, this is the production productivity multiplied by the LME price. That is the sales realization in the aluminium sectors. So with very challenging time, the workforce, the employees, they have stood together, and again they have proved the NALCOnians having extraordinary attitude. So they are, despite of COVID restrictions, 60 to 65% operation during April to August, we are quite hopeful that we will be producing more than 95% of previous year production target. So the price, if you will see, the Q1, Q2, Q3 price of previous year and versus current year, the Q1, the current year is almost $300 less. It was 1793 and the average is 1494. And the price correction was made in Q2 against $300 less. Now it is almost $50-60 less in Q2. Corresponding Q2 was 1761 average and this is 1706 $. And Q3 again it has recovered and favorable, that is 1754 is the previous year. Current year it is around 1918. And Q4 also we are observing that it will be good because previous year it is 1690 and current year it is around 2000 expected. So basically, if you see the Q1 price down by $300 and Q2 is around $50-60. In Q3 and Q4, the market price correction will offset, and I am hopeful that the average LME for the year as a whole will definitely more or less par with previous year or slightly marginally more.
Well, talking about those prices now at $2,000, but the markets are said to be in surplus. So do you see prices coming down? And have you seen elevated LME and NSRs post that as well?
The aluminium supply and demand gap always remains within 2-3%. It is not much more. Like other commodity, the supply is 10% more or the demand is 15% more. So this marginal movement gives a cushion to all the manufacturers, because 2-3% which is a insignificant, the gap between supply and demand. And we basically depend upon the market analyst. CRU indication is there, the market will be firm and the LME will also favorable in the current fiscal 2021.
Mr. Patra, why have your aluminium production and sales come off from what we witnessed last quarter?
Aluminium metal production basically fundamentally the production based on the input and market demand and the consignment which you have to do, more or less we will be achieving more than 95% of previous year production. So we do not mind marginally Q3, Q2, Q1. Overall in the year we are strongly determined and will achieve more than 95% of previous year production target.
And given that alumina prices have still not reacted to the strength in aluminium, what is your sense and what's the outlook there?
Honestly speaking, 2 tons of alumina required for 1 ton of metal. Thumb rule. So basically in aluminium, the alumina cost is almost 1/3 of the product. Power cost is almost 1/3 and other expenses, profit margin remains on another 1/3. So fundamentally the alumina price is around 16 to 17% of the LME price which is prevailing. Sometimes due to supply demand gap marginally varies, which is temporary phenomenon. So the alumina price we are expecting it will be around 300 to 320 during this Q4. Average will come almost same with previous year's alumina price.
Right. Mr. Patra, you have a lot of capex and projects awaiting commissioning as well. Utkal D, 1 million ton alumina refinery as well. Could you give us a targeted timeline for all these? Because the investor concern on slow execution still very much persists.
Let me keep it informed that we have formed a dedicated team to accelerate award of all packages. During last 7-8 months, almost 1,500 worth of orders have been placed and other tenders are in the pipeline. And refinery expansion, I am quite confident by 23-24 first quarter, will definitely make the COD. And so far Utkal D is concerned, all statutory clearances have been obtained and we shortly will be executing the lease deed, and I am quite hopeful by 21 financial year itself, lot of development will take.